Good morning, children. Today we are going to discuss chapter 2 of class 8 geography, that is land, soil, water, natural vegetation and wildlife resources. This chapter basically focuses on the various resources such as land, soil, water, natural vegetation and wildlife. Resources are something which is being usable for human beings, and how do we conserve and protect it is very important. So in this chapter, we are going to learn about the various natural resources, that is land, soil, water, conservation of land, soil, water, then natural vegetation and wildlife, conservation of natural vegetation and wildlife, and what are the major causes for their extinction and degradation. The first natural resource we are going to discuss is land. The land covers only about 30% of the total area of the Earth's surface, and it is the most important natural resource. If we consider the area of globe, 3/4 of globe area is water and only 1/4 of the area is land. Out of this 1/4 area, 90% of the population lives on only 30% of the land area. So 70% of the land area is not habited. So it is in the form of hot deserts, frozen lands, etc. The rugged mountains, desert areas, thick forested areas, plains, etc. are sparsely populated or uninhabited. Plains and river valleys offer suitable land for agriculture. Now we will move on to the various uses of land. Land is used for agriculture, mining, building houses, roads, setting up of industries, etc. The use of land is determined by physical factors such as soil, topography, climate, minerals, and availability of water. Land can also be divided on the basis of private land and community land. So what is private land? It is owned by individuals, whereas community land is owned by the community for common uses like collection of fodder, fruits, nuts or medicinal herbs. These community lands are also called common property resources. Availability of land is limited to cater to the needs of growing population. People started to build up commercial areas, housing complexes in urban areas, and to expand agricultural land in the rural areas. Landslides, soil erosion, land degradation, etc. are the major threats to the environment because of the expansion of agriculture and various constructional activities. Now we will discuss about the conservation of land resources. Due to growing population and their demand, there is a large-scale destruction of forest cover and arable land that has created a fear of losing this natural resource. Some of the common methods used to conserve land are afforestation, land reclamation, regulated use of chemical pesticides and fertilizers, etc. The heavy landslides can block the flow of river and also can widely spread natural disaster that threatens the life and property of people. The next natural resource we are going to discuss about is soil. The thin layer of grainy substance covering the surface of the earth is called soil. The landforms determine the type of soil. Soil is made up of organic matter, minerals, weathered rocks, etc. The soil can be fertile if there is right mixture of minerals and organic matter. Now we will learn what are the factors of soil formation. The major factors of soil formation are the nature of the parent rock and climatic factors. Other factors are topography, role of organic material, and time taken for the composition of soil formation, etc. All these differ from place to place. Now we will discuss about the degradation of soil and conservation measures. The factors which lead to soil degradation are deforestation, overgrazing, overuse of chemical fertilizers or pesticides, landslides and floods. Both human and natural factors can lead to degradation of soils. Some methods of soil conservation are: first one, mulching. The bare ground between plants is covered with a layer of organic matter like straw. It helps to retain soil moisture. Next one is counter barriers. Stones, grass, soil are used to build barriers along contours. Trenches are made in front of the barriers to collect water. Next method, rock dam. Rocks are piled up to slow down the flow of water, which prevents soil loss. Then comes terrace farming. These are made as the steep slopes so that flat surfaces are available to grow crops. This can reduce soil erosion. Next is intercropping. Growing up of different crops in alternate rows and sowing at different times protects the soil from rainwash. Contour ploughing. Ploughing parallel to the contours of a hill slope to form a natural barrier for water to flow down the slope is called contour ploughing. Next is shelter belts. To check the wind movement in the coastal and dry regions, rows of trees are planted to protect soil cover. So far we have discussed the various measures to conserve soil. Now we will move on to the next natural resource, that is water. As we discussed earlier, the earth is considered to be water planet as 3/4 of earth's surface is covered with water. The ocean, which covers 2/3 of the earth's surface, support variety of plant and animal life, but not fit for human consumption. The fresh water accounts for only about 2.7%, and out of which only 1% of fresh water is available to human use. It is found as groundwater, surface water in rivers and lakes, and as water vapor in the atmosphere. People use huge amounts of water not only for drinking and washing but also in the process of production. The other uses of water include agriculture, industries, generation of electricity, etc. Growing population, rising demands for food, rising standards of living are the major factors leading to the shortages in supply of fresh water, either due to drying up of water or water pollution. Next, we will discuss about the problems of water availability. So, some of the countries that face shortages in the supply of fresh water are Africa, West Asia, South Asia, some parts of Western USA, parts of South America, Australia, etc. Countries in climatic zones also face great problems of water scarcity. The water scarcity is caused by overexploitation and contamination of water resources. Now, let us see how to conserve the water resources. The discharge of untreated or partially treated sewage, agricultural chemicals, and industrial effluents in water bodies are the major contaminants that pollute water with nitrates, metals, and pesticides. Water pollution can be controlled by suitably treating them before releasing in water bodies. Water harvesting is another method to save surface runoff. The canals should be properly linked to minimize the losses of water while irrigating fields. In dry regions with high rates of evaporation, drip or trickle irrigation is very useful. These are the various means of conservation of water resources. So far, we discussed about the various natural resources, that is land, soil and water. Now we will move on to natural vegetation and wildlife. Plants provide us with many different products that we use in our day-to-day life. Natural vegetation and wildlife exist only in biosphere, where living beings are interrelated and interdependent on each other for survival. This life supporting system is known as the ecosystem, which we discussed already. Vegetation and wildlife are considered to be valuable resources because they give shelter to animals, produce oxygen, protect soil, which is essential for growing crops, etc. They also help in storage of underground water, gives us fruits, nuts, gum, etc. And also paper, that is very much essential for studies. Wildlife includes animals, birds, insects, as well as the aquatic life forms. They provide us milk, meat, wool, etc. Insects like bees provide us honey. They also help in pollination of flowers and also plays an important role as decomposers in the ecosystem. The birds feed on insects and act as decomposers. Vulture is a scavenger that feed on dead livestock and is considered as a vital cleanser of the environment. So animals help to maintain balance in the ecosystem. Next, we will learn about the distribution of natural vegetation. The growth of vegetation primarily depends on temperature and moisture. The major vegetation types of the world are grouped as forests, grasslands, shrubs, and tundra. In the areas of heavy rainfall, we can notice the growth of thick forests that need abundant water supply. When the moisture decreases, the size and density of the trees reduces. In the regions of moderate rainfall, there is growth of stunted trees and grasses forming the grasslands of the world. Thorny shrubs the thorny shrubs grow in dry areas of low rainfall. In such areas, to reduce the loss of moisture by transpiration, the plants have deep roots and leaves have thorny and waxy surface. Tundra vegetation of cold polar regions comprise of mosses and lichens. Forests are broadly classified as evergreen and deciduous depending on when they shed their leaves. Evergreen forests do not shed their leaves in any season of the year, whereas deciduous forests shed their leaves in a particular season to conserve loss of moisture through transpiration. These forests are further classified as tropical or temperate based on their location in different latitudes. As forests have been cleared to grow crops, there is a need for us to conserve this valuable resource. Next, we will move on to conservation of natural vegetation and wildlife. Forests are considered to be our wealth because plants give shelter to the animals and they also maintain the ecosystem. Changes of climate and human interferences can cause loss of natural habitats for the plants and animals. Deforestation, soil erosion, forest fires, tsunami, etc. are some of the human-made and natural factors which have very bad impact on these great natural resources. Some of the animals such as tiger, lion, elephant, deer, crocodile, ostrich, peacock, etc. are poached for illegal trade of skins, nails, teeth, horns as well as feathers. Conservation of these animals and birds can be made by increasing awareness. National parks, wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves are made to protect our natural vegetation and wildlife. Human activities in several parts of the world have disturbed the natural habitats of many species, and due to the killing of several birds and animals, there is a fear of extinction of such species. Awareness programs like social forestry and Vanamahotsava should be encouraged at the regional and community level. School children should be encouraged to visit nature camps so that they appreciate the habitat of varied species. Many countries have passed laws declaring that the trades as well as killing of birds and animals are illegal. In India, killing of lions, tigers, deers, peacocks have been banned completely. The Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, known as CITES, has been established that lists several species of animals and birds in which trade is prohibited. So, it is an ethical duty of every citizen to conserve plants and animals. So, I think all of you have understood this chapter clearly, children. With this, we come to the end of this chapter. Thank you.